You are in the back room of a convenience store, scanning expired milk cartons, listening to the freezer compressors hum. It is 3:12 a.m. Two drunk customers are still in the store, arguing over who should pay. You have worked 6 night shifts in a row. Your eyes ache. Your back aches. Your phone sits in your apron pocket. Silent. You hope it stays that way, because if it rings, it will not bring anything good. Only hospital bills, overdue notices, or worse. It rings anyway. The caller ID says, City Hospital. The milk carton slips from your hand. It hits the floor, splits open. White liquid runs across the tile toward your shoes. There is no greeting on the other end, no apology, just one sentence. Your mother has gone into acute liver failure. She needs intensive care immediately. If she is lucky, she may last a few more days. If she is not, she may not make it to dawn. Your first thought is not death, it is numbers. How much for the bed? How much for special care? How much for tests? How much for the deposit? Then comes the worst number of all. 41 people are still ahead of her. When you bike to the hospital, the sky is still black. The air outside the emergency wing feels metallic and cold. Your mother is already on tubes. Her face is yellow, almost translucent. She fades in and out of consciousness. When she sees you, she tries to raise a hand. She cannot. She only says one thing. Do not borrow from loan sharks. You tell her you will not. Half an hour later, the doctor calls you to the end of the corridor. He gives you the most honest and most useless answer possible. The hospital will do what it can. But the hospital is not built for people who are in a hurry to stay alive. You ask if there is another way. He is silent. 2 seconds. Then he says, there is no legal way that is also fast. You barely nod, and a man in a gray suit appears beside the vending machines, as if he has been waiting for this exact moment. He offers you a can of coffee, still warm. He does not introduce himself. He looks at the badge on your chest, then toward your mother's room, and he says, very calmly, comfort is the one thing you do not need right now. What you need is time. You do not take the coffee. He says your mother has a rare blood type. That is why she is not moving up the list. You ask how he knows. He says not everyone in a hospital who knows things wears a white coat. He says it like he is discussing delayed cargo, not a human life. Then he tells you that within 24 hours, he can make a suitable source appear. A surgery can be arranged. A doctor can be found. The risk is high. The price is high. But your mother can live. You ask what the price is. He says money is only part of it. The other part is that you help him. One small thing. Not murder. Not drugs. Not guns. Just bringing desperate people to people willing to pay. You do not need to hold a knife. You do not need to sign anything. You do not need to perform a surgery. You only need to carry the right information to the right people and make sure both sides silently agree. You tell him what it is. Organ trafficking. He says no. This is selling people who cannot be saved in time to people who are even more desperate to live. You almost hit him. Then you look through the glass. Your mother's chest rises and falls with the machine, like a broken door, forcing itself open, catching, then opening again. Your fist tightens, then loosens. One voice in your head is screaming, if you take this step, everything after it will be ruined. Another voice is colder, quieter, more honest. If you refuse now, who collects your mother's body tomorrow morning? You ask how much. He says 1.8 million, 300,000 up front. The rest, you can work off for him. You tell him you do not have 300,000. He says he knows. Before dawn, you sign a loan agreement with no letterhead. You press your fingerprint onto it. And by noon, An unmarked van takes you south. The building looks abandoned from the outside. You think you are finally about to see it. The blood, the knives, the kind of evil movies exaggerate. Instead, you see something worse. Cleanliness, silence, efficiency, an accountant checking lab reports, a nurse taking blood pressure, a woman who looks like a lawyer reading confidentiality terms. Everyone looks like they are doing ordinary office work. That is exactly what makes it disgusting. The man in gray places a new phone in your hand. From now on, you are Xiao Zhou. Do not use your real name. Do not ask about the people above you. Do not memorize license plates. Do not feel sympathy for anyone, especially not for the ones selling. Buyers pay because they want to live. Sellers agree because they are poor. You are not a judge. You are not a doctor. You have one job: move the deal to the next step. You stare at the phone. Your palm is cold. You want to throw it back. You want to tell him you only wanted to save your mother, not become this. Then another phone lights up, a message from the hospital. Donor matched. Preparing transfer for surgery. Please pay the first installment as soon as possible. You look up. He does not pressure you. He only pushes open the door. Beyond it is a long hallway. At the far end, someone is crying. Someone is signing papers. Someone is sitting in silence, like a person who has already died once. You stand there for 2 seconds. Then you slip the phone into your pocket and step forward. This is no longer borrowing money. You are no longer a bystander. You begin moving organs through a system whose full shape you cannot see, and with them, what remains of your conscience. You are ready to face the world ahead, not because you are brave, because you have no choice. The first person you handle is a 23-year-old construction worker. Bad left kidney, gambling debts. Father had a stroke. Younger sister still in high school. He thinks he is here for some kind of nutrition experiment. Then you write the compensation amount on paper, and he understands what is really being bought. He asks if he will die. You almost give him the scripted answer. The risk is manageable. Recovery is quick. Consent is voluntary. But the way he searches your face for even a scrap of truth makes your throat tighten. So instead, you tell him this: his chances of surviving are high, but the rest of his life will never be the same after today. He gives a small laugh, says that is still better than having his legs broken. That is the moment you understand the ugliest part of this business. It is not force, it is choice. It always offers a choice to people who never really had one. 3 days later, your mother has the surgery. She lives. She recovers faster than expected. She drinks water by herself. She sits up slowly. She complains that you are peeling too much apple skin. She does not know where the liver came from. She only knows you seem like a different person overnight. Now you are always on the phone. Always lying. Always leaving at night and coming back before dawn. You quit the convenience store. You tell her you found a coordination job at a medical device company. She believes you because she needs to. You tell yourself this is temporary, just until the debt is paid. Then you leave. 3 months later, the debt has grown, not shrunk. One mistake. That is all it takes. You fail to report a buyer's prior infection history. The surgery is delayed. The backup team stays on standby, and the full cost is billed to you. The man in gray does not yell. He only has the accountant open the books. 1.8 million has become 2.34 million. Every number is neat. So neat, it almost looks legal. That is when you understand. This is not a loan. It is a rope. And every step you take forward only pulls it tighter around your neck. Then you learn their language, not medical language. Their language. The language people use when they need to discuss this business, without vomiting. Sellers are not sellers. They are resources. Buyers are not buyers. They are demand parties. A failed surgery is not a failure. It is a loss. The police are not the police. They are the weather. If the weather is bad, you stop. If the weather is good, you move. The first time you hear yourself say, "We need to rescreen 2 resources today," you lie awake all night. Because the most terrifying adaptation is not that you have started lying. It is that you have started belonging. A year later, you are no longer just passing messages. Now you judge. Who might back out? Who is worth more money? Who could be a police plant? Who is poor enough to trade life for cash? You build your own rules, not to be moral, to reduce losses. No minors. No severe psychiatric illness. No one under obvious coercion. Not because you suddenly have principles. Because those cases explode. Because they expose the chain. Because they bring everyone down. When you explain your rules to new people, they look at you with admiration. Your stomach turns cold. You understand what you have become. Not just someone dragged into this world. Someone helping it run better. Your income rises fast. By the end of the first year, your mother's surgery is paid off. You rent a new apartment, hire a caretaker, pay your sister's tuition, fix the leaking kitchen, replace the broken water heater, repay relatives. Every repaired thing becomes another reason to keep going. Without you, the family would have collapsed. At least you are more careful than the others. At least you reduce some violence. At least you are not the one holding the knife. At least. At least. At least. You repeat those words until there are enough of them to bury the truth. What truly pushes you upward comes in the second year. A wealthy businessman's son is getting worse from liver failure. The offer triples. The deadline is 48 hours. The donor lined up for him escapes before departure. For the first time, the man in gray loses patience in front of you. If this deal fails, it will not just cost money. It will cost upstream trust. You ask what options remain. He says there is a waitress, 26 years old, already signed. But her husband changed his mind and brought people to block the building downstairs. Everyone wants the simple answer. Remove the husband. Force her into the car. But you know once blood is spilled, this stops being a transaction. It becomes kidnapping. And that changes everything. So you go downstairs alone. The husband is holding an iron bar. His hand is shaking. He is cursing that you people are monsters. The woman stands behind him, red eyes, silent, still there. You do not threaten them. You do not preach. You place 4 things in front of them. The rich man's son's medical file, the offer, the breach penalty, and the estimate for their own son's heart surgery. Then you tell them the truth, in the ugliest possible form. They are not deciding right or wrong. They are deciding who dies first. Take her away today. Let debt collectors find you next week. Cancel the child's surgery. Keep hiding. Or let her get in the car. Take the money. Let the child live first. The words leave your mouth and make you feel sick. Because the logic is not just, only effective. Because it is brutal. In the end, the woman speaks first. Stop talking. I'll go. The deal goes through. The businessman pays. The upstream side is satisfied, and you are moved closer to the core. For the first time, the man in gray lets other people call you Brother Joe. Not a reward. Recognition. You have proven that at the edge of collapse, you can still make the choice most useful to the organization. Now you deal with cross-city transfers, fake identities, insurance reimbursement channels, clinic owners living in legal gray zones, And little by little, you begin to see how long the chain really is. It is not held up by a few villains. It is held up by a whole landscape of people pretending not to see. Some handle testing. Some handle transport. Some alter medical files. Some clean up complications. Some make complaints disappear. Each person does only a little. And because of that, each person can tell themselves they never really killed anyone. In the 3rd year, a young donor dies. Infection after surgery. Transfer too late. He does not make it. By the rules, his family gets the usual explanation. Existing condition worsened. The hospital tried its best, but his sister does not believe it. She finds your address, waits outside your mother's apartment complex, then throws a bag of untouched compensation money at you, asks if it is enough to buy her brother's life. The security guard looks at you like you are just another man who failed to repay a debt. You stare at the cash scattered on the ground, and suddenly understand something. Every bill you have used to build a home, to save a life, to keep appearances, may have carried the same grief from someone else's family. That night, for the first time, you seriously think about calling the police. You dial the anonymous tip line. Stop 1 digit before the end. Then you see your mother asleep in the living room. The blanket you bought covers her legs. Her anti-rejection medicine sits beside her. Neat. Ordinary. Fragile. You know if you speak, it will not only be you who falls. The accountant, the driver, the nurses, the doctors, the brokers, the upstream handlers. Everyone could be dragged out. And before they fall, your family will be hit first. You did not fall into this alone. Now you no longer have the right to leave it alone either. So you prepare differently. If you cannot flip the table, you study every leg beneath it. You keep separate records of every deal that passes through your hands. Real names, fake IDs, pre-op indicators, post-op complications, payment routes, habits, weaknesses. You are not planning blackmail. You are not trying to seize power. You simply understand something at last. In a place like this, conscience will not save you. Evidence might. In the 4th year, the man in gray is taken away. Not because of your operation, because in another province, he crossed the wrong person. When the news arrives, you are arranging a cross-provincial transfer. The office goes silent. Then everyone reacts. Delete messages, book flights, call upstream, show loyalty. You do none of that. You sit there, staring at half a cup of tea, and you know this is the moment built by every small decision you have made for years. You could run, disappear with your family. But as long as the chain exists, it will find you. You could take over completely, become the operator, stabilize the risk, calm the people, survive the first wave. Instead, you choose a third path. Take over on the surface, cut away underneath. You stop the unfinished high-risk deals. Tell upstream the weather is bad. Move the most violent men away from the core. Pay key doctors extra to keep them quiet. Make sure families still owed money get paid first. Then you do something else. You go see the dead donor's sister yourself. You hand her the rest. Tell her you cannot bring her brother back, but at least you will not lie to her anymore. She asks if you have finally developed guilt. You tell her no. You have simply realized that the dead drag a chain down faster than the living. Even as you say it, you do not know whether it is true or just another lie. A few months later, upstream accepts your position. Now you sit farther back, reading reports, watching match rates, tracking which cities have rising demand, watching which complications might attract media attention. Your phone rings 40 times a day. People beg you to save them. People beg you to spare them. People want money. People want to report you. People threaten you. People want you to teach them. You are like a man standing beside the main valve of a sewer system. One light twist, and you decide whether money or blood runs through the pipes that night. Power comes filthy and fast. You begin to understand why some people never get out. Because once you sit in this position, fear disguises itself as control, and control starts to feel like freedom. But you know better. You are not free. You have only become a more expensive pawn. What keeps you awake now is not the police. It is whether upstream suspects you are hiding accounts, whether the people below you are preparing evidence just like you are, whether one failed case will be enough for a buyer to push you forward as the shield. You are becoming more and more like the man in gray. Sometimes you hear his rhythm in your own voice. Whenever that happens, you remember the split milk carton on the stockroom floor, and the person you used to be, the one who would still tremble after one hospital phone call. That person is not dead. You have only locked him deeper and deeper inside yourself. By the winter of the 5th year, your mother's condition is stable. She sits on a hospital bench after a checkup and tells you that you have worked hard, that it feels like you grew up all at once. You look at the faint needle marks on her arm, and suddenly you do not know whether you want her to know the truth before she dies, or never know it at all. She asks if work has been busy, because the skin under your eyes is dark. You nod. Tell her there have been many projects. She smiles, says not to push yourself too hard, as long as there is enough money. That is enough. You smile too. Then you want to throw up, because enough is the thing you have been pushing farther away for years. One day, then another, then another. Every time you think it is finally enough, a new debt, a new person, a new risk drags you back. The real fracture comes in spring. A 17-year-old boy slips into the cellar list with fake papers. He is trying to trade a kidney to pay off his father's debt. Nobody catches it during the first screening. You do. Wrong birth date. Wrong age. By your own rules, the deal should be canceled immediately. But the buyer has run out of time, and upstream calls you directly. They tell you a younger body recovers faster. Change the paperwork. Say yes. And the surgery can happen tonight. You stay silent for a long time. Then the voice on the other end asks, "Aren't you supposed to be good at calculating?" One boy in exchange for another life, and 6 months of stability across your entire channel. Worth it or not? You know if you refuse, upstream will suspect you. They may go around you. Use someone else. You also know that if you agree, you will cross the last excuse you still have left. So you go to see the boy. School jacket. Young face. Small voice. He asks how soon he can go back to school after it is done. And in that moment, you finally understand something. All those boundaries you claim to have, they were never there to protect other people. They were only there to let you keep seeing yourself as human. Now even that skin is about to be peeled away. You go back to the car. Do not give the order. Instead, you take out the encrypted phone you have used for 5 years and stare at the records you have scattered across different places. Names, amounts, dates, locations, participants, dead sellers, buyers, doctors, transport routes. You know what pressing send would mean. Not justice, not triumph, not anything clean. It would mean reckoning, revenge, destroyed families, your mother being dragged back into a hospital, only this time because of you. But you also know this. If you do not press send, the boy goes into surgery tonight. And after that, you never get to ask yourself again how you ended up here. It begins to rain outside. The drops tap softly against the roof of the car, but it sounds like a countdown. And for the first time, you admit something to yourself. Saving your family may have been the beginning, but it stopped being the reason a long time ago. You continued because you adapted, because you became good at it, because some part of you had grown dependent on deciding other people's fates. You were not turned into this by force alone. Step by step, you chose it too. You sent out the first file, then the second, then the third. Not everything. You still do not have the courage to be that complete. But enough. Enough to keep many people awake tonight. When it is done, you feel no relief, only cold, a deeper cold than before. Because now, more than one kind of pursuer is coming for you. Upstream will investigate the leak. The police will follow the lines downward. The people beneath you will wonder whether you are trying to silence them. Every piece of evidence you once kept to protect yourself has become a signpost, pointing back at you. Your phone rings immediately. Again. 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 You answer none of them. You look at the lit window on the clinic's upper floor. Someone is still waiting for your final confirmation. And you know that from this minute forward, there is no version of normal life you can ever return to. You start the car, but you do not drive away yet. You grip the steering wheel, listen to the rain, and think back to that night years ago, when you picked up a split milk carton from the stockroom floor. Back when you thought the worst thing in the world was having no money, no time, and no one to help you. Now you know there is something worse. The first time fate asks whether you are willing to take a piece of someone else's life, to save your own. You say yes. And every time after that, it gets easier. The streetlights ahead blur into long streaks through the rain. You press the gas, drive into the night. You do not know who will catch you first, whether someone will silence you first, whether you will have time to get your mother out, whether one day you will stand in a courtroom and tell the whole story. You only know this. The challenge is not over. The judgment has not begun. Both are waiting ahead. And now, at last, you can no longer blame all of this on that one dawn, that one phone call, that one hospital room. The world forced you one step forward first. After that, you walked the rest on your own. And now those steps are coming back for you.